Hey, well, here we are. How's everybody? Glad y'all could join us. I know there's this football game that I've been hearing about. It's supposed to be playing today.
It's a
I don't,
sports event.
I don't keep up with it, so whatever. But yeah, if you are or if you aren't watching, I still appreciate you tuning in tonight. So, Steve, what's going on, man? Can you talk now, or you got yourself back healthy, or what?
Yeah, I'm still have a little bit of a lingering cough, but I got most of my energy back, and I did check in with the doctor just because I had some lingering congestion, and they said, "Yep, you do." That was about it. So I don't have, but I was just making sure I didn't have any lingering infection or whatnot. And so they said, no, you could just maybe switch up your over-the-counter meds. But the big thing was kind of getting my energy back this week, and not feeling dead to the world. So
yeah.
Trying to get caught back up. I did do a project video, dropped that earlier today, on a little kind of plaque made from patent art, and used the blue is that scratch acrylic from Great Carve. So it's like a white sub layer with the blue veneer, and then the
really nice.
True Flat sent out some of their materials. So this is some of their, I think it's maple.
So that's either maple or the oak, one of the two.
Yeah.
The maple has a wider grain.
Yeah. So maybe this is oak. I don't know. But no, this stuff worked out really well. I really liked how it cleaned up with the just a little bit of rubbing alcohol or whatever. You don't have to like sand it out and worry about going too deep. So yeah, this was fun. I'm gonna do a bit more of this because I was looking around in my office recently and going, I don't, the pictures of my boys are from like 10 plus years ago, and I've got some airplane pictures up there. And I don't really have a lot of my current, what I do stuff in there. So I'm gonna probably have some more office decoration type videos coming out as I'm doing some of that stuff.
Gonna be redoing the office with a little laser swag.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but feeling good about finally being out in this shop for a bit. Although we've had this kind of roller coaster of temps. It was up in the 50s, and now this next week I think we're supposed to be in the teens, and such as winter up here. I see you're in a t-shirt.
Not only a t-shirt there, got on my short britches.
No, we don't. Yeah, okay. Well, we don't need a blind.
I don't know if I got it. Hang on, I got a camera right here somewhere I can get pulled up for you. Oh,
that's a very good shot of that. Yep.
Look right there. Woohoo! Check it out.
No, that's for your other channel, man.
But yeah, I broke out my Crocs. Got my shorts on. I think it was.
Good evening, Clack. Right now, it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 49 degrees.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like hot, but it's been in the 70s during the day. So it's definitely what we refer to around here as fake spring, because we know it ain't spring yet. It's just fake spring, and it'll get you used to it, and then within the usually the first week of March, it'll drop back down to, freezing and kill all the flowers and plants that grew up and all that. So,
yeah,
that's just the way it happens around here.
The question is where to get their acrylic. This company, Great Carve, and they have a very fancy box.
Yeah. So you didn't use a full sheet on that job then, I'm guessing.
No, they so their sheets are, I should measure them. A full sheet. Pull it out here. Come on. Comes in a bag too. So full sheet. It's the white backer. Actually, this one's inversed. So this one has more of a solid blue core, and you engrave off this white.
So yeah, that's like a swapped over version of it.
Yeah. So they have multiple colors. This one is 11 3/4 by 9.5, or through 30 centimeters by 24 centimeters. So yeah, they I don't know if you've been watching my channel for a while, it's about a year ago, maybe. This company sent me that kind of enclosure that it was like.
Yeah, I remember that. That was the basically it was acrylics, kind of like erector set made out of acrylics.
Kind of, yeah. So they made that, but then they also sent some material. They have this, and then they have some of that laserable 2-color leather stuff. And so I've every so often I use some of this in various engravings and projects and such. And so every so often they're like, "Hey, we've got some new colors. You want us to send you some out and try it out?" So I was like, "Sure." So, so I don't have any affiliate links with them or whatnot, but I do have. There's a link on the video, but I can grab the link here as well. But and there are others that make the same stuff or similar, so it's not like they're the only one out there, but they're the ones I've worked with off and on. So I'll drop this out there for everyone that is interested in checking that out. So
yeah, well, I got me some new material in after trying out that Lone Star adhesive that one of the viewers sent out for me to try. I liked it. So I picked the colors that I liked the best that I thought would fit with the shack. And so I have some black. I think this is the black over silver. I've got some of the golf ball white. And the reason being is we have a little small country club here. And so I feel like that it has the high potential to be a good place to sell golf ball engraved ball caps. So, I got me a sheet of that to try. I've got I think this was like just the classic leather or whatever. But I got that. And then, yeah, that's right. Orange over black, baby.
Yeah.
All right. And then because my daughter's band colors are red, I got the red and black. So I'm going to play around with that. I've also got myself a hat press coming so I can try this stuff pressed instead of, because if I can eliminate the sewing part that I've been doing to my real leather hat patches, I wouldn't mind doing hats. So I'm gonna try it. I ordered a economically affordable hat press made by Vivor, and I'm gonna try that and see how that works out.
Yeah, I bought their kind of very entry level one a couple of years ago, and I've used that with Leatherette and a few other generic brands, and it does pretty well. There's been a couple hats where after a while I could tell that I maybe didn't get quite the press on it that I needed. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you like that. So faux leather.
Yeah, I got these little journals. They had these things also on over at Lone Star, and I was trying to get enough in my cart to avoid any shipping or anything. So I got a few of those because I figure these are something I can sell. These little journals with leatherable, laserable leather. I feel like that's something I can sell. I'm going to start off, of course, just making one for somebody and then advertise it on my Facebook page and see how many orders I get in. I've been making a key for a realtor today. It's like this huge key that people pose with once they've, sold a house or whatever. Very complex, multiple layers, the whole 9 yards. But the one I made is not really. It's not currently open to public, so I'm going to have to give it a few days before I can reveal the video. But I do plan on doing a little video of it. And I'm trying to get into of course, like I said, the realtors are your friend when it comes to laser engraving and customization stuff, because there's nothing they like better than to be able to give the person that bought that house a personalized something that gives that personal connection. So that's what that's what I've been working on mostly today. I also put some, I don't know if you can see them. I got my project sitting on top of the CNC drying, but I've also made myself some bench dogs for the CNC to kind of make it easier for me to index items and know, like when I set the file up, know exactly where things are going to be and not have to run clamps all the way around the machine. So just testing different hold down methods to see if I can improve my CNC game.
Cool. So this, I showed this earlier. This is one of their colors. So they've got a few flavors of this, and so it's basically just a mirrored with the black. But one of the things they sent in this new pack, now this is more of a rose gold one, is it's actually two-sided, but it has a black core to it. So
that's neat.
with a with a jig or something, you could
you do like a
you actually have a
two-sided.
two-sided engraving on it, as long as you set it up right. So that'll be kind of fun. I got to figure out some a project that makes sense with that, because with this stuff, you can just stick it on, like it'd be great for like on machines or something. So
yeah,
some fun stuff to play around with and try to be creative with. Robbie had a question about the laser leather. Have you tried it on other lasers other than the UV to see how it does?
I haven't. See the Lone Star adhesive, and I may try it on some of the other machines, just for sake of testing it with different machines. But a lot of people talk to me, and like the guy that sent me the material out, me and him had a conversation through email, and he said it engraves really, really well with the other machines. And the only issue that he had at all was the whites getting a little bit of staining from the engraving process, because the white is just so susceptible to that fine soot that's created by the laser that sometimes he was having a hard time getting it off of the patches. And so that was why his main reason for sending it to me was he wanted to see how it did most specifically with the whites. But while he was at it, he just threw me like basically every little scrap piece color that he could think of so that I could test it, because he wanted to buy a machine, but hats and Lone Star materials is kind of where he's at with his business. And so he's like, I don't want to buy the machine if it's not going to do a good job on the material that I use every week. And so basically I was his guinea pig to determine whether or not, it would make sense to get the machine. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it done a really, really good job for those patches. But I do know from his experience and some of the videos that I've watched and some of the other people that I've talked to that use it, it does work really well with the other machines. Like I said, the cleanup is going to be the only consideration that you may have. And one of the things that he told me is you can mask it and do it, but then you've got to weed everything, which can be a little excessive with some designs. So, but yeah, I may test it with other machines while we're at it.
I've used the like the leatherette, the synthetic leather on both diodes and CO2s. It's you just got to be careful, because that top layer is thin and too much power, and you're going to be blasting through not only the top color but sometimes into more of the substrate leather. So if you've got too high power of a laser, especially in CO2s that don't like to fire when they're too low, that can be an issue. But I've ran a lot of my own hats on. I even did some on the original K or M40 from what was it, Montport M40. But had a lot of success with like 10 and 20 watt diode lasers with that. So
yeah. Woo. Oh, Cloudfather says it's 28 in the shop. No.
Let's see. It was 5:45, and I turned the heater on out here. It was 46 degrees, or no, 46 degrees. It's 57 over on this side. It's probably warmer on that side, but yeah, a little chilly.
Yeah, Tim's asking if I'm still using the Sony ZV-1 as my main streaming camera, and the answer is yes. It's gotten a lot fancier though.
But it's not your streaming camera though.
Oh, streaming camera. No, I don't use it as my streaming camera.
Main camera, yes, but streaming camera, no.
This for my videos. This is the Sony is the guy, and I've got this new nice little robotic gimbal that goes with it. I use a Elgato MK2, and then I also have the original MK, if it works. No,
that's a nice view.
Well, I don't know what happened to that one. It's probably connected to something else. But I've got the MK2. I've got the MK2, the original face cam, and then I've got a bunch of Logitechs all through the shop set up.
Cool.
And this is my ZV-1. This is my main like camera. It's got my little robotic gimbal that I picked up when we got back from CES that I love so far. What do you know?
Yeah, I still have my ZV-1. I don't use it as much. I've been using. Well, I've got it right over here. I've got my Fuji cam. So I've got a digital SLR because I wanted some of the flexibility with a different lens. So I've been using this one, although I have to play with this a little bit more. I messed up the focus settings and now it likes to hunt, which is really annoying because you can't tell it on the, it's got the little screen here, which
you can't. You have to train yourself not to look at that, Steve.
Well, and also you can't tell the slight variations in focus on that when you're 5-6 feet away, right?
And then you go to edit, and it's like,
yeah. But I'll be honest, half my footage still comes from my iPhone. So
well, I use manual settings on my ZV-1, and I like it for my long form videos. And then when I'm doing stuff at the desk, I just use these random guys. Oh,
yeah,
I think I've got like 6 cameras connected to the computer altogether.
I normally lock the focus, but I appeared to have unlocked it. And then if you're trying to like show something close up and then it doesn't focus, I've been starting to remind myself to just take notes to then inset the photo at that point. So
yeah, Sippy's asking, does anyone in here do watch bands? I have tried before with other machines. Didn't have a whole lot of luck. But silicone with the fibers, you can etch them, but you really can't see it because it just removes the material. From my experience, you'd have to go back with some paint or something like that. Yeah, I think I've got that same set.
I bought a set of them, even though I don't even own an Apple Watch. So to do some testing on a variety, because I've been asked on like the Reno 45, as well as some of the diodes. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna need some to do some testing on. But I haven't gotten around to that yet.
Jeffrey's asking, I think he's talking about the Genmitsu. Says, any thoughts on the Genmitsu kiosk 10-watt laser? They had mentioned that thing to me, but I haven't heard anything of it. I'm supposed to be getting that little the little CNC, the little tiny like lunchbox sized CNC, but it got hung up in Atlanta for like a week for some reason with DHL, and it says it's supposed to be coming this week, but I've got a bunch of stuff going on, so we'll see. But they mentioned that kiosk machine, but they never got back with me on it.
Yeah, I zero experience with it either. I've seen a number of them, like Algo Laser has a similar one. I've seen a number of places talk about them. I guess I really haven't even noticed too many other videos out on them. Not that I've specifically looked too in depth on there, but yeah, if you're looking for something to take mobile, take portable, one of these style might be the ticket, but you're going to want to, I would wait and see from a few more verified places to see how they function.
Yeah. I don't know if Chuck's talking about mine or if he's talking about yours, but nope, wrong camera. If I can get the right camera pulled up. There's my table that I built here a while back that holds my table saw and my chop saw and all that. It's not the best setup if you're trying to do like cabinet making or whatever, but when you have such a small shop and you just need a place to put random things, it works pretty well. The planer's kind of down there on the floor, not ideal, but no more than I use it. It works. That's the only place I could come up with that it wasn't going to be, just in the way, because I couldn't put the chop saw down there, couldn't put the table saw down there. So I was like, the planer goes in the lower level, but it works. There's a router on the other side you can't see that's got a round over bit on it and everything. So I mean, it works. When I get the new shack built, probably going to do some rearranging of all that stuff, but for now, it works.
Yeah, I've got my kind of assembly table. So I got drawers on each side. I've got kind of a pass through lumber slot there, and then inside kind of that table area, I store a bunch of clamps and other things. And so it works really great. It's actually, with everything in there, it's really heavy too, which is nice because it doesn't jostle around a lot. And most everything in my shop is on casters, so I can move that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice. This works great for doing a lot of like unboxing and initial testing and setup of machines, because I can kind of move it around to where I need it and play with things, get around on all sides. But this one is it's about 3 feet by 5 feet, which is about as big as I'd want it to be able to move it around the shop. It's never big enough when I'm setting up some things on it.
That's the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. That's like that one. If you look, you can't see it, but on the other side of where the table saw is, I've also got a joiner on the outside of the table. It's mounted on like a little shelf that protrudes off the edge of the table, but there's a joiner over there also. So, and then you can see my little scroll saw is underneath there beside the planer. I mean, I've got that thing just stacked full, and then there's some wood storage underneath the table saw, just little scrap pieces of wood. But yeah, it's space is a premium around here. I had a company reach out to me this week, and they were wanting to send me these little 4 foot by 4 foot like elevator things that you mount to your ceiling, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know that I trust my construction that much to be trying to put 300 pounds of stuff up there.
Well, yeah, I've had them too, and I've got like, I don't know, 9 foot ceilings in here, and I trust the construction. But
I'll send you the email.
No, they've reached out to me as well. The problem is moving around big slabs and other things, and being freakishly tall, unlike you short people. Ceiling height still, I worry about things hit my head and such, but
yeah. ET's asking Steve, what do you recommend to carry to local realtors to give them and that can get them interested in maybe giving to their customers? Whew,
yeah. The cliche really is cutting boards kind of thing like that. And so you kind of want to target them though, give them something that they would want to display that also shows what you can do. So if you can get their logo for their their company or their business and maybe their name, put that on a cutting board and just gift it to them. Just say, hey, I don't know what you're giving for if you're giving your clients, welcome home gifts or something like that, but wanted to give you this as an example of something I could do. This is the price I can do it for. Here's contact information, but the board's yours to keep. That's you basically want to give them something that they would be giving their clients. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that cutting board kind of thing. So,
yep. Forget Me Not Woodcrafts is asking, anyone have any experience with the Laser Tree 40-watt module? I do not. I saw a few of their modules, and they look a lot like some of the Comgros and stuff like that of years gone by, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with their modules either, so can't really say.
North Alabama Smoke says this is for both Clack and Steve. I do basic stuff as everyone does. So question is, would it be better to get the F1 or the F1 Lite? In my opinion, if you're not doing a whole lot of metal stuff, which the 2-watt IR is not going to do a whole lot of metal stuff, basically anodized items and maybe some tiny text on jewelry or maybe like a name on a knife blade. Those are things that I see as being projects that it would be good at. But the bulk of what I do with my F1, I technically could do with the blue laser. The only advantage I like about the 2-watt IR is with anodized material, you can get that white that pops a lot better than just the clean metal look. So what's your thoughts on that? Because I know you've got the F1 too, but they did come out with the light now. So
yeah. So, I mean, just looking at it right now, what the F1 Lite is $800 and the F1 is $1,200. So you're talking about $400 to add that IR to it. It, this is where I would love to have some experience with some of those other kiosk type machines, because I feel like if you're going to go for the blue light only, there's probably cheaper options. Now, those aren't Galvo style, so they might not be as fast. So that's one thing also to consider. But I keep going back to, some of the blanks between acrylic and the anodized aluminum, that having that IR module is really nice. And even on some of the chrome materials, you can engrave a photo. Like if you drop in a photo and use their background removal tool and kind of crop around it, you can but mark that photo pretty quickly and pretty decently with that. And it's an extra option. So for some people that have like their little chrome pet tags and such, they might actually like a keychain with their pet's image on it and such. But it's also, you're jumping into a $1,200 laser. So budget wise, you're really going to need, it's a $400 question. Is that going to help you out quite a bit? Hard to say, but I would agree with you that 90% of what you are likely to do, you can probably do with just the blue light one. If you're on a budget, if you can spare the extra $400, I think you're going to find you enjoy it, even if you don't use it all the time. But
yeah, there are other blue, just solid blue Galvos out there. The longer Nano that I had, it was just a blue. I know they're coming out now with their Duo, which has both. But the F1 did have a few advantages over the longer machine as far as the way the little door goes up and down. If you're using it at events, it's a lot better than that little clumsy cone. Yeah. Even the laser peckers, I like the laser pecker machines, but that cone is it's clumsy in my opinion. Yep. I like the door that slides up and down better. So at an event, you don't want to be sitting there fumbling with that cone, trying to get it off and get it on, and then you mess the focus up and you're trying to hurry because take it from me, if you're doing like dog tags or pet tags or keychains at events, it can get hectic. Like you'll have a line of people and you don't want to be sitting there fumbling with that cone. I use my F1 at events, and that's one of the main reasons, because I have, I've got the LP5 over there. I've got the LP4, but that F1 is it's smooth. I like the way that it operates, especially I've got the little button that you can, instead of having to push double tap on the machine, you can hit that little button, and I love that little button. Makes it a lot smoother operation when you're batching stuff out.
Yeah, I have the LP2, which has that cone, and it's only $100 less than the F1. Between those two, I'm just for all the reasons you said, and I think the software is a little easier. X Tools, you can. It works pretty well in Lightburn, and with XCS, the software is just easier to use in that one. So,
yeah. Michael Knight's asking, can anyone give me advice why my S1 is not cutting my rectangle line straight all of a sudden? Haven't heard of anybody having any issues with the S1, but I mean, loose belts comes to mind, possibly. I haven't, like I said, I haven't had any issues with mine, so I don't.
Yeah, this
never really had to mess with it.
This is one where a photo would probably help quite a bit to see what the result is. I don't know if it's, if it's wavy or if it's kind of like skewed more like a parallelogram or something like that. A little more.
If it's doing the triangle thing, it's probably because you're trying to use it in Lightburn, and Lightburn was a little buggy with it for a while there, especially with speed tests.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things it could be, but I don't know what that's about. But Chris says, Steve, that was a pic of a black rabbit at night. I don't know. I don't know when that came in. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris.
Robbie's asking, have you guys heard anything about a new bamboo printer coming out? I haven't, but I haven't really had my ear to the ground on it either. So
yeah, only rumors that they've been talking about a new printer coming out for a while, but I haven't kept my ear too close on that. The new Prusa printer has kind of hit a few other YouTube people out there, and that's Core XY. And I've watched a few videos on that one. It seems to be kind of hitting more of the P series, maybe a little bit into the X series of bamboo. So there's a possible competitor. Still don't 100% know price either, but there's some interesting moves in 3D printer world right now.
Guys asking, do you have the website address for Corey's CNC bits? I think he meant Cody. So I dropped a link to Cadence Manufacturing in the chat. So
Cadence Manufacturing. Otherwise, I also think, if I remember right, if you just do jennybits.com, that also redirects over to Cadence Manufacturing. So it's a little bit easier to remember and type out.
Moses is saying he's got the Kiosk 10 watt set up in his grooming shop for pet ID tags, and it works great.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those little machines like that, and people knock on them and say that if you're going to buy a laser, you got to spend $1,000 to be serious about it. I'm going to be honest with you. That little iCube, what was it, a Sculpt Fun iCube I had? If you're only wanting to do like coasters and pet tags, like this guy, says he's using it as at a grooming shop. At a grooming shop, you're really only wanting to engrave like pet tags, maybe the occasional leash or collar or whatever. You don't need a really big machine. So yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in get a tool that does the projects that you want to do and make money with it. And then if you want to upgrade later. I mean, that's my philosophy. You don't need to put yourself in debt, because what happens if you spend too much money is now you have to either sink or swim, and there's no, I'm going to do a few jobs and if it don't work out, I'll just pick up my pace. The learning curve gets a lot steeper when you jump in there and spend more money than you had available at the time. Mm-hmm. Stress and pressure is not what you want when you're trying to figure out how to get started with this stuff.
Yeah. Chris is bringing up, this is probably going back to the realtor conversation. You can also get their name first and do a pen with their name on it so they're regularly reminded of you. And you can, I would just make sure that it's something that you can, they may come and hit you up and say, I want an order of so many, and you got to make sure that's profitable. Some of the smaller giveaway items like that, there's real low margins on it. So just make sure that whatever you're giving them is something that you would want to produce for them and sell for them, and that there's enough to make it worth your while and pay the taxes and all that stuff on. So,
yep. See here. Trying to go through these comments. I'm trying to get caught up because I know we're behind. We're always behind. Well, no, not as far behind as I thought I was. That's good. So we'll scroll back up for a minute and make sure I didn't lose any.
Radu the Impaler is asking any thoughts on the Nano Duo. I assume they're talking about the longer one.
Yeah, the longer Nano, it wasn't terrible. I ran it in Lightburn, just the machine by itself, not with the accessories, because the accessories drove me nuts. I've still got them. Still don't know how to use them with Lightburn. It was buggy. With their software, it worked, but I didn't like their software for running like tumblers and stuff like that. But just the machine by itself, if you're wanting something to mark cutting boards or do a quick little maker mark on stuff, it done a pretty good job. Like the laser, to be a 10 watt, it done really good. Not having an air assist, I do not recommend cutting with galvos, especially not on a regular basis. If you just want to do it to play around, or if you just need one little thing cut, whatever. But if you're expecting to cut a lot of stuff, don't get a galvo. I mean, can they do it? Yes. It looks a little rough. It's hard to do. You're going to set some stuff on fire. I mean, it is not advised. With the UV, it cuts pretty decent, but it's a whole nother animal because it doesn't cause fires as easily as the other machines do. But the Duo that they're coming out with, they actually emailed me, and I don't remember what came of that. I don't know. Like I said, I'd be afraid to say because sometimes I assume that they're going to just run with the machine the way they had it configured, and then when I get it, it's like, oh, y'all changed this thing completely, and so it's not exactly the same machine. So that could be a good thing, could be a train wreck. I don't know. I'd have to see it before I'd be willing to put my stamp on it there.
Yeah, and that one's it's a 20-watt blue laser and a 2-watt IR, and kind of what you were saying there is, the higher power blue diode lasers on a Galvo. I don't know that it's needed. Now having a higher IR opens up a little more capability.
Yeah, if it was a 10-watt blue and a 10-watt IR, that would be a game changer because
Yeah.
that would
Yep.
that would and kind of like with the LP5 where it's a 2020 or the
F1 Ultra.
The Ultra. I wish they would get to where it'd be like if it was a 5-watt and a 5-watt, a 5 blue and a 5 IR, that to me that would be better. That 2-watt is a little underpowered for the IR because, like I said, you're not doing a lot of cutting with those, and the 1010 would be awesome with a for a smaller machine with high portability. But who knows? You never know what's going to come out next.
Yep. North Alabama is asking, does IR work on leather patches? That's why I'm actually looking for the F1 series. No, generally speaking, IR is not going to work on organic materials.
Yeah. If it was ever alive at one time, IR is not your friend. Whether it be wood, paper, rubber, anything, like you said, organic. If it came off of some type of living organism, there's a really good chance you're not gonna have the desired effect. Now with wood, the cool thing with an IR is you can paint wood, like paint it black, paint it gold, paint it silver, and then engrave it and have a really cool engrave. Because all it's really going to do is just take the paint off of it. But as far as like legitimately engraving, no, you're not going to do it with IR. The blue's the better option. I need to do some more painted plywood. That was pretty. Those do pretty good projects.
Yeah, like layered or inlaid or what?
No, just paint a piece of plywood like a door hanger or something like that, and then engrave it. It with different designs and stuff like that. I did some before. I did I think it was an Easter sign or something I made, and I took a piece of wood and just cut it and finished it and got it all slick, painted it really nice, and then engraved it. And it just removed the paint, but it left the wood exposed. So it almost looked like a CNC job where you backfilled it with gold paint, but it wasn't. It was just engraved, painted wood. So
cool. Yep.
All right, William Pipkin is saying, help me out. I am trying to decide what laser to buy. Going to be engraving wood, cutting colored MDF, and nameplates out of Trotec 2-color cast acrylic $1,000 budget. Ooh. Gonna probably need to work on your budget if you're gonna be cutting acrylic. Because you're gonna need a CO2. What's that machine that you've got? The
Reno Pro, the 45, that starts at I think 1,500 though.
Let's just say I think that's going to be the closest usable machine to be able to do acrylic with.
Yeah,
it's going to be
also depending on the size he needs. So it's a 16 by 12 working area, and it's $1,500. They do have their, of course, it's going to get more expensive. Their 65-watt that has the 16 by 20, I think, 24 by 16.
Yeah.
But that one's, twice his budget at $2,000. Yeah, depending on, that 2-color cast acrylic, unless it's all darker colors, you're going to struggle with diodes. Yes. So, trying to get into an inexpensive CO2 would be your option.
Yeah, because even if it's like white, non-transparent acrylic, white's just going to melt with a blue diode. Typically, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
it's gonna look bad because I've got some of the two layered stuff up there that I've tried with diodes, and it was failure. So I would definitely go with a CO2.
Yeah, I mean the OhmTech 25, the 50 watt, that's got a 12 by 20 working area. The base machine is 1900. You can get it with light burn for $2,000, but there again, you're up in that $2,000 range. Your other option is, if you get a non-light burn compatible machine, they do have a baseline Reno 45, and that's $1,000. But that's, you're going to be using, what is it? What's the software with this one? Laser DRW Whisperer.
Yeah, some of those
Laser Art.
programs,
So
those programs that me and you don't use.
yeah. So but yeah, the colored cast acrylic, that's gonna be kind of you're in CO2 territory to be able to do it consistently and reliably. Otherwise, I mean, keep an eye out on Facebook Marketplace and such. I always caution people about used machines. You might be inheriting someone else's problem. But there are a number of people that thought they'd like something and they just don't use it, and they end up trying to offload it. So where you're running off to. If he leaves too long, I'm going to start playing music. Oh, it says not cutting acrylic. Okay. Engraving acrylic for nameplates on awards. So there again, if it's darker acrylic, or if you want to use clear acrylic and put a binder like tempera paint or Surmark or whatnot, you can engrave it then. And then you could do that with a blue diode. If you're wanting to cut it, that's when getting into a CO2 would help. So in that case, it's really going to depend a little bit on the size that you need. As far as working area. So just to follow up to what we were talking about, he's not cutting it, but he's wanting to engrave. So he could get by with masking it or using like Surmark.
Well, it depends. That 2-layered stuff, it depends on the top layer. A lot of times is what I have found with the blues. I'm not going to say you can't do all of it, but the stuff that I've got, and I don't know if it's the same stuff, but that white, once you hit that white, it's kind of like white acrylic. It just starts melting with the blues. Is a lot that I've had. This isn't Romark. I did a video on this stuff. This isn't Romark, but like you can see, that's with the blue diode, and it just chars, and it just, I can't get clean results. Some of it does okay. This is like the black and white. I did most of this with the CO2 though. The problem, like especially if you're trying to cut it out, like what happens is when you'll cut through the black really easy, but once you hit that white backside, it's just like you hit the brakes. So, and I've got a bunch of this black over white here. I don't know if I don't know exactly remember how I ordered this stuff, but yeah, that's the problem. I would be like right here. See that? That's a blue diode, and I could not. That purple, for some reason, I just could not get good clarity with the diode. So I'm not going to sit here and say you can't do it, but just know that I did not have very good luck with it in my experiments. Now, this is not Romark. Romark may be different. That was me on the orange and white trying to get some colors. I need to get this stuff back out, run through the CO2 one day, see how well it does. I did a few pieces of the black for, I think it was like a trophy type thing for a guy with the CO2. It turned out okay. But yeah, just be careful. You may want to get somebody to test it, in my opinion, before you go thinking that you're going to be able to do it with a blue diode.
Yeah. I mean, if you're only working with small stuff, there is the M40 or K40 options. You can get some with Lightburn ready, without it. But I will warn you, most people who get those tend to do a lot of upgrades, and so you start spending that 1,000, 1,500 on up by the time you're all done. So about the cheapest desktop machine that I would recommend is right now that I'm aware of is that Reno series. And even that, it's still entry level, but it has kind of all the things it's got a lifting bed, it's got a honeycomb, built-in air assist that works okay, stuff like that. But it's like I say, the very basic one of those is $1,000 on up to $2,000 for the slightly larger and Lightburn compatible ones. Those are the ones I'd kind of look at it and kind of I'd skip the K40s and kind of go to that level.
Yeah, the K40s, I've had one. They're very, very basic, and they're just you kind of get what you pay for on that. The Reno, me and Steve I've watched Steve use the Reno. We've kind of like been sitting here talking to each other, him doing jobs on it, and from what I've seen, if I were going to recommend somebody to get into a CO2 and you wanted a budget CO2, that's where I would start. Would be that Reno. Unless something else comes around. Now there's better machines out there, no doubt, but the budget jumps from that one.
Yeah. Yep.
V saying that the Reno 45 is $9.99 right now. But like I said, I think that's available in a non-Lightburn version also, V.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that because
the base Reno 45.
If you want Lightburn, you're going to have to pay a little extra for the different controller.
Yeah, the pro versions of them are the ones that are Lightburn compatible, whereas the standard one, the Reno 45, is kind of like your K40.
Yeah,
just nicer internals to the rest of
the but it's got that one had the bed that you lit up and down with the wrench and stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah, they both have that.
That's something the K40 did not have. I mean, it was a flat bed, fixed focus, anything over 3 millimeters, and it was out of focus.
Right.
So that to me makes that machine much more usable. Just having that focus, and I think it had how many inches dropped it was it capable of doing?
Oh,
you measured it.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I think it was around 4 or 5. So it's got some decent drop to it. But then you could also remove there's a crumb tray, and you can remove the honeycomb and the slats, and you technically could block it up.
Yeah,
and have more depth.
Or they print you some little feet or something.
But then you're going to have to make sure you got your focus in because it's the bed lifting and lowering that adjusts that focus on there. So
yeah. But for say like tumblers or something like that, if you wanted to try to use it with some type of rotary that was a little thicker, you could make you some legs or whatever for it to get that to work.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, Greg. I don't have normal cable TV to watch it. I did have a plan where I could watch it on my mobile or iPad. So that's where I would, or unless it was on one of the streaming services I did have. But I think this one's on Fox, and I don't have whatever their option.
They had it on my Roku a while ago. I don't know if it was like one of those paid for type things, but on my little TV over there, I noticed it when I turned it on. It was like they had plugged it in like it was a channel or something.
Yeah. Let me see here, though. Maybe I could. Oh, wow. Philadelphia is up 24-0. Beginning of third quarter. Wow. Here. Let's see if I can do this. If I just because he wanted it. This is as ghetto as we can get.
Oh my goodness. Dark Arts just said he's got a 100-watt ball CO2 with Lightburn and photo something.
The Super Bowl's on behind me.
Yeah. Jeremy says I figured out how to readjust the autofocus on the GA100 focus up and down buttons together, but it changes it to a completely different spot. I've resorted to making a focus stick for autofocus for an autofocus machine. Yeah, Jeremy, somewhere in that machine, there has to be in the controller. Now you got me wanting to look and see. And the reason I say that it's got to be in there is I was looking at the OMTech, the Polar Plus, and in the Polar Plus, I found where you can actually adjust the autofocus depth in the controller settings. And I was in there just goofing around, looking at some other stuff. So I would imagine it would be similar on the Monport. So let me just nosy around inside this machine and see if I can figure this out. No, it won't let you know because it's not a G-code machine, so it's not going to do that. Oh, didn't think about that because it's not gonna let me have access to those settings this way. You're gonna have to like go in with WinSock or something to get access to it. Yes, yep, never mind. That is not going to work on this machine. They've got it locked down. You can't. Let me make sure I'm not missing it nowhere. No, yeah, you're going to have to. Yeah, that is going to be a setting that you're going to have to get into some other way. You're not going to be able to access it through Lightburn. I just looked and I didn't think about that. You can't go into the controller of this machine the way that you can with one of the other machines. Well, thought I might have stumbled upon something, but nope, not today.
The Reno 65 Pro gives you some extra working area and a little extra power. So, I mean, it's a little bit bigger. They didn't have that one out when they sent the 45 to me. If they had, I probably would have twisted their arm to try to get them to send me the 65 just because having that extra little space would have been nice. But there's a lot you can do with the 45 as well. As far as your typical desktop size projects, 12 by 16 is not huge, but it's not much smaller. I mean, most diodes are about 15 and 3/4 by 15 and 3/4. So it's a little bit shallower, but about as wide as those. But yeah, kind of depends on your budget and what you're looking for. It's always nice to have a little bit more power and a little more room, but if you rarely use that space, then it's just taking up extra bench space. So, but definitely look into things before you spend the money on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been putting some heavy thought lately into getting myself a bigger CO2 and getting away from the X40 for my stove covers. But I just don't know. I don't know exactly if I want to. I did find that there's a machine that has it's not just crazy big. It has a comparable work area to what I need. And I'm debating on whether I want to step off in that or not. It would give me access to a much bigger CO2 machine with much more power, but I don't know. That's a lot of money to be spending. But it is that would be my machine for my stove covers because it does have adequate bed space for it. So,
am I hearing this right?
I'm entertaining it.
I remember about a year ago where you were like, I would never do that. I would never get that bigger machine for that.
Well, that one machine, I'm kind of thinking I might could do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like my X40. Don't get me wrong, but I'm starting to come up with other project ideas that I can do and try to, as I get closer to retirement, I actually may have some things that require another level of production. So we'll see. I'm kicking the can around about it. I've still
Well,
got the others. I mean, I've got plenty of others, but
yeah.
as I get me a little bit more room, we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
no, I'm not. I can tell you right now, Nancy, it's not going to be an Aeon. That's no thanks. I mean, not that it's a bad machine, but I don't have a budget for that.
Well, that's that's the thing that we've talked about this in the past is, and you've been kind of the champion of this, is you can do a lot with, you started out with an X-Tool D1 10-watt diode laser, and you did a lot with it. You paid for your next one, and it's kind of the evolution of any business is you are going to try to find ways to be more efficient, be more flexible. But I appreciate that you still kind of stay realistic. You're not jumping into I'm going to get myself a 200-watt dual head CO2 laser, kind of thing.
No, and this is not going to be massive either. The one that I'm looking at, it's only, I think the work area is like 22 by 32 or something, like it's 22 by 40, I think it is. Yeah, so it's not massive, but it's a pretty good sized work area. But it literally, I could set a stove cover in it and engrave it, which is what I do a lot. And what's brought this up, and the reason I've even considering it is because I have, I bought this last year. Last year I bought my Shapeoko. It has paid for itself now. So this year I'm trying to look at what other piece of equipment could I get, and if I did get, and hear me out. Right now, to do all the stuff that I could do with that machine, I've got the X40 sitting here, and I've got the OhmTech sitting over there, and I've got the S1 sitting. So, I mean, it would be a really good thing to have, even if I didn't use it every day, just to be able to do those. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm happy with my setup right now, and I have made more than enough money with my X40 to support itself. But I just got to looking at it the other day, and I'm like, if I'm going to retire, and especially if I reach out and I start doing other jobs, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a bigger machine to be able to do bigger stuff. Like I'm doing a lot of these. I can't show you the front of it, but hang on. I'm doing a lot of projects that are this size. And that's 3 layers of 1/4-inch plywood, and it's got a lot of text and stuff on it that I can't show you because it's not for public consumption right now. But to do this and do a lot of these, if I get into them like I think I might, I could definitely use a bigger machine. So
well, you don't have to worry about it because according to Chris, you're never going to get one.
Do I?
According to Chris, you're never going to get one.
I may not. I mean, because I am kind of stuck in my ways. I am stingy with my money because right now, I'm not having to pay for any machines necessarily because, like I said, the CNC, it is officially brought in enough money that it's nothing but profit. Anything I make with the CNC now, so that's where I try to get, And I have no plans on necessarily buying another big CNC. I have considered getting me one with a rotary. I actually reached out to Shapeoko and asked them, "Are y'all going to, support a rotary? Do you have a rotary, or could you tell me how to go about using a rotary with the Shapeoko?" And they're like, "Well, we really don't have any plans for that. There's no demand for it." I'm like, BS. First of all, because Onefinity has one, and CNC Labs has one. So obviously there is a market for it, or those guys wouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I'm gonna go with that yet, because I really want to. I want to start designing some, especially with me having the sawmill and being able to cut my own stock. I want to go to design like some really cool like walking sticks or hiking sticks or whatever. I want to be able to do that, and I need a CNC rotary that I can set up to do like 4-foot long pieces of wood. So,
yeah, good friend of mine actually has been. He's been making his own pool cues, And so he's made kind of a manual setup with a rotary and a kind of a manual rotor or router. But I've been giving him some of my spare gear recently because he's working on trying to rig something up for his open builds CNC with a chuck rotary in it to, I don't know about carve the whole thing, but be able to carve on them and such, maybe doing some inlays and other things. So I think rotaries with CNCs, there are, like you mentioned, they're out there. I mean, even Genmitsu has one for theirs and others.
Yeah, I've got the Genmitsu one, and I've even thought about trying to fit it, but it's not big enough.
I mean, it's not a difficult thing to do per se. It shouldn't be difficult for them to add one to it. You know, they just need to redirect, you know, the one access to it. But I think it's still a bit, I think they're not sure of the market, you know, because it's not something everybody wants to do.
Well, I have decided that you know, I did say that when I got my bigger shop, I did want to get either a Onefinity or a CNC Labs or whatever, and have like a 2 foot by 4 foot machine so that I could do comparative stuff. So I guess I can just wait, and when I get my bigger shop and I got room for it, get me a 2 foot by 4 foot and set it up to be like a dedicated rotary machine. You know, if I needed to, I could move the rotary and overflow with it, but that would be one option. But I just hate to, you know, if I had one I could slap into this machine here, especially now that I put the dog holes and stuff in there, I could actually build myself a little jig to where it just sit up there and sit down in my dog holes, and we're ready to go to town. Mm-hmm. But you know, now we'll see. Like I said, it's a lot of moving parts when I retire and go full time, because I am going to try to drum up more work for the shop, more CNC work, more laser work, more whatever, to try to help pay for my insurance and stuff, because I got to get that medical insurance, and it's not going to be provided through my employer, so therefore it's going to be substantially more expensive than what I've been paying. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, you know, if you get that new shop built, maybe you'll have room for something, you know, a smaller, a shorter but wide enough CNC that, you know, it can be your secondary machine for things like that. So
yeah,
we'll see. Dale is asking, is the Genmitsu 4040 Pro large enough for someone just starting out, or am I wasting my money looking at cribbage boards and other games? You know, yeah, I mean, you've got, I mean, I would call it about a 15 by 15 working area. It's I think you get like, what, 3/4 inch over that or something like that. But
yeah, it's a little bigger than a 400 by 400. I think it's like 420 by,
yeah,
you know, it's not much.
But you know, your typical kind of wall decor, most game type things are going to fit into that. Now I would look at the what is it, the Pro Max that has the
Genmitsu Pro Max is the best 4040 that I've had my hands on.
Yeah, so that one, you know, it comes with a trim router type spindle. The Z-axis is much more rigid on it, and that should do very well for cutting out cribbage boards and other smaller, like tabletop, coffee table size things. That's about the smallest machine I would look at as far as rigidity and price and whatnot. You can get the extension to make it deeper. So if you find yourself wanting to do more, you could upgrade from there. But at that point, you might want to, you know, if you find yourself at that point wanting to upgrade, you may take the jump into something bigger. And I still feel like there's some resale value with it, depending on your local market and such. But no, I that's one that I would say is probably like I say, the lowest level that you're going to be able to jump into it. It's going to be realistic. You can use 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch bits with it and not feel too hampered by, you know, it being a too small or not rigid machine.
Yeah, the 4040 Pro, and that's what the 6050 obviously was more rigid, but for for the 4040 Pro Max from Genmitsu, I've got that little Lunyi 4040 belt driven guy over there. It doesn't do a bad job, but it's not as rigid. It's not as strong. It doesn't feel as sturdy as the 4040 Pro Max. If I were, and this is just from my experience of the machines that I've had in the shop, if I were to recommend anybody to get a beginner machine, and that was what you were looking at, the 4040 Pro Max would be, hands down the one to get. And like you said, with the trim router that they sell with it, it was actually a pretty little powerful little machine. It did a decent job. Speeds and feeds were pretty much comparable. I mean, I didn't see any major issues with running it almost as fast as I do in my Shipoko. I don't know that it would go quite as fast, but because I didn't push it that hard. But it was really, really fast compared to some of the other machines.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to overdrive it as much as you can with your Shapeoko or my 150, but it's going to keep up with a typical desktop machine. Whereas others that you've had experience with, and I feel like I'm slowing
it's
things
like
down.
Come back tomorrow and see what my Engraver looks like.
Yeah. So I've been happy with mine. Mine's actually sitting on my 150 right now. In my shop shuffle, I want to get it either set up here, and I may even build an enclosure for that one. But yeah, no, I'm keeping that one around as kind of my benchtop one.
I let my Shipoko, my Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max, Billy took it to his house.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give him about another few days. If he's not going to use it, I'm going to trade it for the Lunyi. And when he learns, we can swap back, because I got the Genmitsu rotary up here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get my Genmitsu, my 4040 Pro Max back, then I can swap. I can use that little rotary from it. So, but yeah. Somebody's asking, Charles is asking, have either one of you heard anything about the Sane Smart Cubico? And the answer is yes, I have heard about it. And mine's supposed to be, if you believe DHL, supposed to be delivered tomorrow. It's been hung up in Atlanta for like a week for some reason. But it should be getting delivered tomorrow. So I haven't tried it out yet, but I've been looking at it, and it's a little bitty machine. Okay. It's going to be very limited what it can do. As long as it is capable as far as in its class, I think it would be something fun to play with. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play with it and see. I'm going to maybe do some little wood engraves. I've got some little plastic sheet and stuff I'm going to play with. I'm not going to be trying to do anything too complex with it. I think it's only got like a 75 watt spindle. So, I mean, it's not a powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination. It has some pretty cool technology from what I'm seeing. Like, it has its own little touch probe built into the bed. I mean, there's some things that I think's pretty cool about it. I've got a buddy that he likes to do PCB boards and stuff like that. He's like a hobby radio builder type thing. That's something I think it might be cool for. So when Genmitsu, they just kept asking, and I was like, sure, I'll try it out. I'll play with it and see. And I'm going to do some cool, fun projects with it, maybe like some small stuff, and just get my opinion. But it's like a $250 machine, I think is what they've got it retailing at. So my expectations are low, but we will see. And like I said, if nothing else, the computer guys out there that want to build PC boards, maybe it works for that. I did see this weird little thing where they were using it to polish the screen of a phone, and I'm thinking, I don't know about that, but hey, whatever. I'm gonna check it out and see. I'll give you my feelings on it when it gets here.
Well, be interesting to see what you're able to do with it.
Yeah, it's $299 is what they've got it listed as right now. And I mean, it may be, like I said, because I try to keep an open mind, and I don't want to be one of these guys that's like, if you can't spend $3,000 on a CNC, you're not serious about doing CNC work. That irritates me. Clack gets all over the voice. Okay. Because in my opinion, that's like saying if you can't afford to go get a saw stop, you don't need to do woodworking. That just makes no sense at all.
You're gonna rag on me now, huh?
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying, like, I started this shop with like borrowed, or I say borrowed tools, but with
Yeah.
like stuff I got at the pawn shop. You know what I mean? And everybody has to start somewhere, and not everybody's budget is $3,000. So,
Yeah. No,
in my opinion, it doesn't hurt. Now,
there's a lot
like
of
I
people
said,
that get started with, these kind of
yeah.
hobby grade machines. They build it into a side business that gets busy, and then they maybe consider upgrading. Kind of the same thing with you. I mean, I started out with a Menards special job site table saw that I think back on that and go, how did I not cut my finger off with it? But
Yeah.
and then picked up a lot of used tools. I had a nice used rigid table saw from a friend of mine who was downsizing their house in retirement and selling off some of his shop, and made me some good deals and put out a lot of product and stuff, and slowly upgraded things. But yeah, you definitely don't need the high end or even like you say, the $3,000 machine to get going and start making product, and being successful with it. So, and yes, the Eagles are now up 27-0. So,
But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try it out. My expectations are kind of low for a $300 machine. I mean, I don't expect it to be able to take a Jenny bit and run 150 inches per minute or anything like that. It is what it is. But if it can make cool projects, because I was like, this actually, if I could get it to do, because it's basically going to be like a little small Dremel, but CNC control is what I'm kind of liking it to. So there are materials, acrylics and stuff like that. It might do a really good job at. So I'm gonna play with it and see. We'll get back with you and I'll let you know. I mean, it may be one of those where it's a CNC that you can carry on your back and just carry your power supply in your left hand and the CNC in your right. I don't know, but we'll come up with something.
yeah.
The side of radio says, "Good evening. Great video on the patent images to you there, Steve."
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that video too. It was like I said, it was pretty cool. I thought for a minute you weren't going to be able to find the patent, but okay.
Well, that's the thing is, you kind of have to know something specific about it, and like either the actual thing they called it, which often isn't what the end product ends up being, or it helps knowing the inventor's name, things like that. So it is kind of fun. And also, if you haven't checked out that video, I do have a few light burn tips and tricks in there, and a few gluing assembly tips and tricks in there. So I try to sprinkle those in all the videos to even if you're not doing exactly what I'm doing, it'll hopefully help you with future projects. So appreciate everybody checking that out and dropping their comments on it and everything. It's nice to have people enjoy the content we put out.
Yeah. Multicraft brought up an interesting point. I could use my little little puzzle file. It's about the right size. So there's a possible potential project for it.
Chris is saying early reviews of it are saying it's very rigid. Well, that's a good thing. Having a real
it looks that way, but like I said, it's hard to tell by the look at it.
But yeah, Craig was earlier essentially saying PWN CNC is about to come out with their own CNC machine. And when I was down and getting Cody sick, he was talking about that as well. And I've been following them a little bit. A lot of interesting options in that kind of what would I call it? Pro hobby, small business size. They kind of bridge that gap between what you might expect to see in just a weekend woodworker's shop and a small business on up to small business. And a lot of people will be very successful with these machines in their small businesses and such. So definitely some options out there from various manufacturers and different sizes and platforms. So always good to have some competition helping drive innovation. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what should the expectation be for a 2-watt IR? Yeah, you're not going to be doing you're not going to have any depth to the engraving. You're really just marking metals. But the nice thing that you can do some comparisons where a blue diode will etch anodized aluminum, kind of remove that coating. The IR will do it, but sometimes it does it in a different fashion. It gives you just a more brilliant white. And so the expectations are don't be expecting deep engravings, but it's a good option for marking materials and plastics and acrylics. That'll give you a different look. Sometimes a more brilliant contrast than say a CO2 or a blue diode will. But don't be looking to cut anything or engrave deep into them. Here's a different question. Brad's asking, any advice from y'all on doing your first YouTube video? Done shorts, but not a long video.
Just do it.
Just do it. You're good. Everybody looks back at their first video and goes, wow.
I look back at yesterday's videos like that. I mean,
yeah. I would say, don't overthink the gear, but anything you can do to have better audio. So I talk about using, your smartphone. If you can get, whether it's a corded or even just a simple Bluetooth lapel mic to give you better audio, it's going to make your video so much better. If you have bad audio, even echoey audio, I mean, with some of my stuff out here, I have too many kind of just flat blank walls because I've been moving things around and I get more echo. I try to play with the mic settings and also the software settings to get that out there. Audio is going to be huge, but try not to overthink it. Just set the camera up, do some talking, show some shots. Voiceover also works, if you want to just not worry about talking while you're doing whatever your video is. Just grab some shots and do like a voiceover with the video. But really it's just don't overthink it and do it is really how you can get that ball rolling. The first few are going to be rough. But you'll kind of figure out what works for you. And, over time, hopefully your audience will help that too. We like this, but maybe not that. So,
oh yeah,
people
will definitely tell you what they don't like.
Well, yeah.
There will be no shortage of people telling you things that they don't like. So just go ahead and get ready for that part. If you're not thick-skinned, or if you can't let it roll off your back, then go ahead and buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, have some thick skin and find someone that you can just complain to, vent to, because you don't necessarily want to do that in the comments. Yeah. So I'll do that. Clack and I'll do that back and forth. Probably more me than him, but it's like, look at this comment. Yeah, that gets it out of your system, and then you can kind of move on.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is I didn't get into this to try to, my creation of my channel was kind of like organic, I guess you would say. Like I didn't mean for it to happen. It just kind of happened. And it's like I tell people, because when they're like, well, how do I get started? I'm like, just start making videos, because the one thing I can promise you is if you sit there and you don't make content, you're not going to learn anything. You need adequate equipment, which, like I said, mine's not state of the art. My editing is not the best. There's 19 different people will tell you 19 different ways about how you need to zoom here and move the frame ever so often in this many seconds, and these colors and that colors and this temperature and that temperature. I mean, you can get lost for days at editing and framing the shots and all that. I just try to tell a story, video it, and have at least audio that doesn't make you, feel like you're listening to nails on a chalkboard, other than my, redneck accent, which I can't help. So if if they don't like that, they can speed me up or slow me down. That changes it, makes me sound a little different. But it's just have fun. If you have fun and do it, it doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks because you're having fun. That's the way. That's kind of my approach. Is I have fun. I worry about everybody else. As long as some of the folks that I trust and that I know say, yeah, it's pretty decent, I'm good with that. I'm not trying to be the top dog. I'm not trying to be better than everybody. I'm not trying to be, fancy or anything like that. I just want to have fun and I want to help you guys learn and get information without getting a headache from it. Except for those 3 or 4 people that probably like, well, all your videos give me a headache. So, but it's just fun. Just have fun with it. Because that's because you're if you don't have fun with it, you're going to get burnt out quick.
Yep.
I don't forget the numbers now, but I've looked at it and I've listened to stuff before. I don't know how accurate the numbers were, but like the majority of YouTube channels that try to start a YouTube channel, like only like 1 or 2% will ever make it to like where me and Steve are. And it's hard to believe that this redneck just happened into it. But I mean, it's true. If you look at the statistics of how many channels there are and how many there are at what point, it's a tough battle. But persistence and just stay after it and have fun. Those are, if I could tell you anything, that would be my recommendations. So, but that's a whole topic for a whole big like series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even right now, because I'm not 234 days away from retirement, I take this serious enough, but I still keep it like this is kind of my hobby side gig. I'm not in the position Clack's in where I'm like, okay, my career's almost done. I want to spin this up and make sure that it can continue to be viable. I try to make sure I'm having fun, but still try to be consistent with it. And but I also give myself that kind of leeway to say, hey, if especially like this past month when I was recovering from getting sick, I'm not going to push myself to make sure I still get videos out because I want them to be quality and not just you push it. People can tell when you're pushing and you're not enjoying it and you're not into it. So if you keep it fun and kind of temper your expectations to something realistic, but also have some goals, you'll hopefully have some success. Greg's wondering, do you have a code for purchasing X-Tool F1? Either one of us, we have links in the description of our videos that goes to like our website, which has like our affiliate links. It won't necessarily have a discount code per se. Sometimes they kind of randomly do and don't with X-Tool, but it will, it'll at least give X-Tool the benefit of saying, hey, you appreciated our content and kind of influence that. But I'm not aware of any current coupon codes or anything with that. Right now, they list it as $800 off, but it's kind of like persistently on sale.
Yeah, I don't think they have any special sales going on with the F1 right now currently.
It looks like they have $100 off if you use XCC Machine 100. It's on that page. So, but yeah, if you use our links, that'll at least let them know that we kind of helped you out with that. So, and yes, the Eagles are leading 34-0 right now. Let's see.
I don't know. See, I actually prefer live streams myself because it's a lot less the back end. All the work is done on the front end of a live stream. You create your thumbnail, you schedule it, you put all your stuff in the description, and then the day of the live stream, you just fire it up and have a good time. So to me, the live streams are better, easier.
Yeah, I think that depends on the personality and what you're doing. this is easy. It's just, I mean, if nothing else, Clack and I are going to talk to each other. You all just going to listen in on our conversation. If you're doing solo live streams, yeah, you gotta at least have something thought up of what you're going to do and maybe talk about, because there's nothing worse than doing a live stream and having crickets in the chat, because you're like, so I hope someone's out there got any questions. So yeah. And depending on how you do it, live streams are if you do it to have this type of community interaction, it's really good for your channel to kind of build that community and give the viewers a chance to interact with you, and that helps build that kind of desire to continue to watch your stuff and kind of, I mean, Clack and I met over this format. We've met some of you over this format, so it kind of builds your circle of people and influence and such. So,
Radio the Impaler saying, leaving price out of the equation, UV or IR. Does UV not engrave deep as well? How portable is the UV like to take to shows? The UV is pretty heavy. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't be taking a UV to the shows. One, it's very expensive, and I wouldn't want it bouncing around just in case. For shows, the IR modules, like on the Galvos, like the laser packers, the longers, the F1s on the X tools, those are going to be what you're going to want for that. Because even though like this UV, even though it's not as big as say a cabinet CO2, it's still probably a good, I would say 50 to 60 pounds worth of machine. I mean, it's not light, because there's a lot of like heavier metal in there. So yeah, the price of a UV is just, I mean, it's a lot too. So
yeah, I don't other than Clack's videos, I can't speak to that right now.
What's that?
On the UV question.
The UV is like I said, I like it, but it is very costly. I just realized that I did. Let's see.
And yeah, live stream cats are a huge plus.
Yeah,
I actually in my video,
cats, and so they're going to be going up through there a lot.
In my video, when I was doing my light burn work, because I was inside down in the office, I did end up editing out a couple of cat intermissions. So
mine just photo bomb the crap out of you. Yeah, you don't know it until you're editing usually, and it's like, man, if I cut the cat out, you're going to miss the whole shot. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. Just go. Well, he jumped right up, and like it wasn't the like, oh hey, here's the cute cat. It was the kind of very disruptive. Let's like knock your microphone over.
It was like, boom, there's a cat.
Hey, well, so, but yeah, they can be fun, you know. They become characters sometimes when they're there quite a bit. But yeah, make sure you have a cat in the background. See, there you go. Get yourself a cat, start a YouTube channel. That's the formula right there. Yeah. Engagement is the best part. Ignore the trolls; they will come. Yeah, it's there. Yep. People critique everything and tell you what they think, but and you know, hopefully it's come through on our videos and our channels. I mean, Clack and I, we have a lot of experience, but we always refer back like, hey, we're still learning every day as well, and we appreciate the feedback to give us new ideas and new tips. And like even last week when we were working on some stuff in XCS, someone helped direct us to the some tools that, you know, we forgot about or were unaware of. And so, you know, we appreciate that feedback from others. It's that's the nice part about this, is that we can share our experience, but also still learn through the comments or the live streams and such as well. So we appreciate that. And yes, Kansas City did finally score. So it's not going to be a blowout. Anyway. Here's another good one. Will Lightburn handle most graphic work, or should I get to know Photoshop and Illustrator? You could do a lot with Lightburn. That being said, if you have access to that, and you don't necessarily need to get Photoshop and Illustrator, there are open source versions of photo manipulation and vector manipulation as well. It helps, but it's I wouldn't. If you're starting with a quality image, you can probably trim and mask down in Lightburn. Fair enough, but there are some times where it does help to have access to some other photo manipulation software. But I wouldn't necessarily tell someone they have to go out and get Photoshop and Illustrator to be able to do most things. What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of programs that you can use. The Windows photo tools pretty powerful for doing a lot of stuff. You can't really remove the background, but like as far as changing the contrast and filters and stuff like that, it's gotten to where it's pretty useful. So as long as you can overcome the background, I don't know that there's a need for it. If you have access to it, if you use it on a regular basis, then and you already have it, it's good. Like Multicraft saying, you got things like Imagear, and there's some other free utilities that'll do a lot of it for you. So I wouldn't, if I were going to spend money, I would kind of hold off on the Photoshop and the Illustrator, because I will tell you this: I do not have Illustrator because it is expensive. I do have Photoshop, but it's because in order for me to use some of my video from my different cameras that I have, I had to upgrade my Adobe pack to be able to use it in Premiere. And that's the only reason I even have Photoshop anymore, is because it was included in that package that I had to have. So,
yeah, there are other things. If you're just working with photo manipulation, there are some cheaper packages. As a matter of fact, if you're doing graphic design, if you want kind of the idiot's guide to graphic design, there are tools like Adobe Express or Canva. There's another one out there that I'm drawing a blank on. They have a lot of like templates in it, but they also have photo manipulation tools. And so, yeah, being able to remove the background is probably one of the more popular tools you might need outside of Lightburn, because you can do a lot of the photo adjustments, the contrast, the brightness, the things like that within Lightburn. So, but yeah, Inkscape and GIMP are two free open source equivalents of those that you can play around with and get all that functionality for both vector images and then also the raster photos. So
let's see. Trying to find the questions. I got something going on at work too. I'm having a text. So it's a little distracting. My bad. But it's either that or try to get off here and have a phone call. So I'm trying to handle it through text message.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
Nate, Nancy's asking, do you know where I can find someone to align my Mon port 90 watt CO2? Don't expect free service. There has to exist some freelance technicians. There are some out there. I don't, it's going to be probably a bit regional depending on where they're at.
Where you're at.
So I don't know offhand about that. One thing I might suggest though is, let me find it. There's a tool you can get from American Photonics that might help you out. And what it is, I'd show you one, but I sent it with my friend on the other one. It's kind of a reverse red dot tool. and it will you take your lens holder out and you slide this into the tube, and then it has a red dot laser beam that goes backwards through the mirrors, and so you basically adjust them in reverse to align it using that red dot tool rather than trying to worry about which way are the screws going. You can have that red dot visually see the adjustments that you're making. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Well, Nancy, Miami's a bit far from here, but if there's anybody in Miami that knows how to adjust those, maybe you could like get up with them. Somebody in the in the laser community that has a machine. But Miami's a big town, and there's probably places near there that have CO2s, and they may have a technician or know a technician. So that might be something you want to do, is call around. A lot of your trophy shops and personalization shops will either know somebody that either does that as a job or is just handy as far as being able to adjust them. Maybe it's somebody that they know that runs their machine and does theirs a lot. You never know.
Yeah, I just dropped a link there, and American Photonics is down there in Florida. I'm not. I have to look to see where exactly they're at. Let's see. See if they say. Sometimes companies bury that information for a variety of reasons, but yeah, this is a tool that can help make mirror alignments a lot easier. You just need to get the measurement, the diameter of the tube that holds your focus lens in, and then you slide this in there, and it projects that beam at the center, and then you can make your adjustments that way. It's about a $40 tool. It's not terribly expensive, so maybe look into that and or reach out to them about the tool, or they may, since they're at least in your state, might be able to help you identify someone that can help you out as well. So not like I say, I'm trying to find where they're at, but buried on their site somewhere, I'm sure.
She says she already has that, but not sure if she's using it correctly.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, maybe reach out to them and see if they can give you some guidance on that. It is a little bit backwards. I believe they have a couple of videos on using it. Like I say, I don't have mine anymore, so I can't necessarily assist with that. Maybe I should pick one up for my OhmTech.
Yeah, I tell you, I wish OhmTech had put a red dot in the tube of this Polar Plus. That's the one drawback that I have with this machine.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have, but that hasn't been. I wouldn't call that necessarily a standard option yet. Let's see if I missed anything else while looking that up. Yeah, there's a nice.
Jack says you can get a beam combiner, but yeah, you have to. That would. I don't know that I want to go doing that with the OhmTech. I don't know that there's room for that in the OhmTech because it is a very compact machine.
You can also get some tubes that have it built into it as well. But yeah, it is nice to have. This just kind of does it in reverse, and it's kind of the cheap way to do it. So, but Tim had a nice kind of comment for us. Authenticity is hard to find. David and Steve don't put on an act. Many others in the laser maker community are also not like your typical YouTuber, and that's a huge plus. And this is kind of funny because it was at CES, and what was it? And she said, "Well, you're not nearly as arrogant as I thought you'd be."
Oh yeah, well,
because yes, and that's a thing too. Is that I will say this: there are some people who do need to kind of pump themselves up for their videos. I'm not going to say that they're being unauthentic, but there are some people who their videos could be like, And so I'm going to show you how to do this project with the laser, and it'll be cool. So let's jump over to the laser. You got to have some energy.
Yeah.
But there are some people who you meet them in person and they're nothing like their videos. That can be a little bit jarring as well. So, both Dave and I, I mean, our videos are much like if you were hanging out in the shop with us, this is how we would be. So, and
that's the way I want my videos to be. I don't want it to be an infomercial. I don't want it to be like, because, okay, I'm not knocking on anybody or anything like that. Everybody can do their own thing, but I don't want every thumbnail that I do to have the word money, dollars, rich, profit. I don't want every video I make to have those words in it. I know those get clicks, and I get why guys do it, but I don't like that. You know what I mean? Dollar sign, because I kid you not. I mean, go just dollar sign, profit, money, rich. Those 4 words will be in a lot of thumbnails, and you'll watch the video. And what really kills me is I'll watch the video and I'll be like, man, how am I going to get rich with this? So I watch the video and I'm like, you didn't tell me anything. And so I don't like to do clickbait. I don't like to do the old bait and switch, the click and grab or none of those things. I like to, sometimes my thumbnails are boring as crap and my click-through rates are terrible. But the whole thing is if the thumbnail says it somewhere in the video, I promise you it's there. Because most of what I usually do is I don't even know what I'm going to call a video until like I'm editing it. And a lot of times I hear myself going, man, I should have bought this sooner. That like the one I just did. I kept telling myself in the video, I kept saying, I should have bought this sooner. My prints are a lot better. They're more crisp. I don't have the problems I had. And so I'm like, you know what? That's going to be my thumbnail, So I don't sit and try to figure out how I'm going to work the term profit or dollar or rich or, $3. I don't try to figure out how to work all that stuff into the thumbnail. The thumbnail just kind of grows from the video. And if they don't get but 1,000 views, they don't get but 1,000 views. I mean, it is what it is. Because I consume YouTube as well. I watch other people's channels, and I'm not knocking it. If it works for you and that's how you do things, then by all means, that's just, that's not necessarily how I want my channel to be run. And I've got some friends that do other genres, and it's like every thumbnail is an emergency. I don't want to be that guy either. I mean, so it's just it's a balance. I think your YouTube channel should be your YouTube channel should be a reflection of you. You know what I mean? In my opinion, it should be. Not everything's going to be drama. My life, first of all, if I had as much drama in my life as some of these YouTubers claim to have in their thumbnails, I'd be making some changes. All right. Yeah. Because if every week there's some near-death crisis, I averted dying every week, then I've got to do some changing. So I try to keep it real. Yes, I do want my videos to get views. I do want them to get clicks. It's part of the business model, but I have standards and things that I refuse to do. We've all seen those thumbnails that people will exploit their females in their family, or sometimes it's a female herself. They get clicks. You can't deny it. But I don't look that good in a pair of tight pants, so I can't do those things. I've been trying to get Steve to do it. I told Steve, I think if he'll go buy himself some of those nice black leotard pants and wear those in his videos, I keep telling him I think he could get a lot better views and clicks. And so if y'all could help me talk him into it, we'll get him to do that and see how it works, because I really want to see how it works.
Right.
Anyway, don't get me on my soapbox.
I feel that's a bit off brand.
I don't know that anybody's ever seen a 6'6" dude wearing those kind of pants, though.
Let's keep it that way. Yeah. Well, you're doing everything they tell you not to,
Oh, I know. If you listen to these the YouTube gurus, I am not doing anything right.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So.
All right. Well, we got some legit questions too. This side of the radio is asking any recommendations for material suppliers.
There's a lot of them out there. I'll say this: depending on whether you're running a business or whether you're doing it by hobby, is going to vary because a lot of the wholesalers and stuff out there, you got to, you. I don't know that you have to have a business. I don't know that they actually check, but typically, typically for wholesale products, they're going to at least see if your company even exists. It may just be a shell that you created just so you could use a wholesale place, but they're going to at least check and make sure it exists.
I mean, I've had at most, I mean, I don't know that they do a deep verification on some of them, but a lot of times they're going to want to have like your state tax ID and things like that.
Typically
so and generally they can look that up and make sure that it's legit and viable. So yeah, that definitely helps. But just starting out, I would definitely first look local. See what you have in the area for cabinet making supplies, hardwood dealers, lumber dealers. A lot of them, I'm talking outside of your Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, whatever. Go to actual lumber suppliers. They may just be like, they may have storefronts and such that are like framing and such, but they probably deal with plywood distributors. And if they don't stock it, they can often order it for you, and developing that relationship to where they can help you. Or maybe it's something they do have on hand that you can kind of go pick up. That's generally the best way to do it. Outside of that, looking more regional, here in the upper Midwest, there's a couple that I've dealt with. One of them works with retail, and that's Ooch. I forget how I can ever say their name right, but they're out of Wisconsin. They're a nice family-run business, and they have lots of things from hardwoods to plywoods, I think down to like 16th inch material in some of their hardwoods. And then another one in the area is Liberty Hardwoods, and that's where I've got a lot of my Baltic birch plywood. So kind of start looking regionally there. Otherwise, if you look through a lot of our videos, we've talked about various material suppliers that we have tested out their material. And they can kind of be all over the place, just depending on what you're looking at.
Yeah, and it depends a lot on what you're making. If you're making boxes and like storage stuff for your shop, and you don't really care if you get a glue pocket every now and then, or if it's, maybe it's got a stain or a footprint on the material, you can get it at the big box stores. A lot of the 4-inch material that works really well. I've been using Rugby. It's Rugby Architectural Building Products, and there's an invoice from them if you don't believe it. But now when I buy from them, like this particular instance, I went up there and I bought 20 sheets of 4-inch plywood. So, I'm buying it from basically these guys sell to like cabinet shops and stuff like that. And to get a better price, you do have to, you got to load your truck down. You can't just go grab 1 or 2 sheets and get that good price. But I've got a Russell Do-It Center, which is just a general, like they cater to like local house builders and stuff like that. It's a regional store. They carry 1/4-inch Luan. 1/4-inch Luan, you can do a lot with it. It's going to limit you in some aspects because it is bad to have like pockets where there's no material. It's just kind of a hollow shell occasionally, and then you'll have some like Bondo in it from time to time. If you're wanting to do like plaques and stuff for CNCs, or even some thin hardwoods for your lasers, local sawmill guys, or like Steve was saying, cabinet shops, a lot of times will have, scraps that they'll let you get from them. It's anywhere and everywhere. Dollar Tree, if you're wanting to engrave like household stuff, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, the Walmart sale aisle, the Tractor Supply sale aisle, any like clearance aisle, whether it be Michael's, Hobby Lobby, whatever, you can find some stuff sometimes $1 or $2. Walmart even, get you a couple of blanks for a couple of dollars. And I mean, it's anywhere and everywhere basically. But the one thing that you are going to want to do is try to set the things that you're making to work with the materials that you can find. Because not all plywoods are going to be equal. I mean, you can, like me and Steve talked about, I can go to my Lowe's and buy plywood, and he can go to his Lowe's and buy plywood, and it'll probably be 2 different plywoods.
Yep.
even though they're both lows, they're sourcing the materials in different places because they're geographically so far apart and everything. So,
Yep.
what's up, Rick? How are you, sir? You got that CNC up and going yet?
Nope. Kyle's asking, does the P2 and P2S have the same size workspace, and how does it compare to the S1 bed size? As far as I'm aware, they are the same between the P2 and P2S, but it is almost not quite 4 inches wider on the P2 compared to the S1. But depth, they're both right around that 12-inch. But I think the S1 is 20, and the P2S is like 23 3/4 to 24.
Yeah,
somewhere
it's a little wider.
Yeah.
But I think I think they're about the same. I'd have to look up the numbers. The numbers on their website are accurate. But the P2 does have a slightly wider work area. As far as I know, the P2 and the P2S, I mean, yes, there's some changes as far as the fan and how the fan operates and comes in and out. The laser, they added the red dot visible laser to the beam, and there was a few other little tweaks. But as far as the main chassis of the machine, I don't think, other than around the cooling of the exhaust fan area, I don't think they made any changes to it.
So the website actually says it's 26 by 14. So
26.
Yeah. The air pump on in the P2S is actually it's supposed to, I think, move twice as much air, which that is something on the P2 that I felt was a little underpowered, a little anemic. So they did make some nice updates on the P2S version. You and I got to see one at CES.
Yeah, I've got to see them, but I don't have one. I've got the original P2.
Yep. But yeah, the bed size is the same. Let's see what else. Was it this one?
Multicraft, that material, the building you're talking about, it's not a cabinet. It's actually like a little small building. It's insulated with 2 layers of vapor barrier, and there's a dehumidifier in there that runs continually. Also, when I'm drying lumber that I cut on the sawmill, I can actually heat it up to like 165 degrees in there to run all the moisture out of the material. For example, as we speak right now, it is 89.2 degrees in there with 33.8% relative humidity. And I don't have the heat turned on in there right now. The only heat that's being generated inside there is a little, the dehumidifier that stays running all the time. But it generates enough heat to keep it at around 90 degrees. And if you look at 33.8% relative humidity, I've got a little sheet over there. But that should be somewhere around 7% moisture content as far as wood goes, which is well below what most houses are. You want to be generally speaking, between 7 and 10, depending on the construction of the house, whether it's a slab, crawl space, or whatever. You want to be somewhere between 7 and 10% moisture content. If not, what happens? The reason wood warps is either it goes from being really wet to being dry, or from being dry to really wet. What happens is the molecules of the wood, when they bring water into them, they're kind of like balloons. When you put water in them, they swell up. When you take water out, they get smaller. And so what happens is one side of the wood is getting bigger because it's getting more moisture in it. And then maybe the other side's getting smaller. And that's when you start getting twists and turns, especially with plywood. A lot of times you have, offset layers. So you've got one force pushing this way, one force pushing this way, because it's sucking up water. And that's what causes it to start twisting. Now, sometimes plywood is plywood. And when it was pressed into a sheet, it was under pressure when they pressed it, and it was warped. But because it was such a big sheet, it stayed flat. But when you cut it down into smaller pieces, all of a sudden, those opposing forces are no longer there, and it'll look like a Dorito. I mean, that happens. But typically speaking, if you're having problems with your wood warping really bad, check the moisture in your building. And if you don't have a moisture meter, hang on, let me grab something for you. Oh. Hey, it's a box of meters. All right. We got temperature, moisture, moisture, moisture. So you can tell which one's the most. This is actually a little cheap one. I don't even know if it still works. I haven't used it in a while. But this one right here, it's really cheap, but it supposedly you can like place it on the material. I don't care for this type. All right. I think I paid like 10 or 15 bucks for that. General makes a decent one. The way you want to do it is you want to use the pins. So like with this one here, I can't really show you. Yeah, see, I don't like that guy. Hang on. Let me turn this one off. This is my good one. This is my FLIR. This one is very accurate. Does a good job if batteries are hot in it. So this one actually tells you what the temperature is like in the room. You can see where it says 69 degrees. That's inside here. So then you can just take these pins, and when you stick it into the material, see, that is actually so dry that it ain't registering. All right. So I'll lock that one in. So you can see there, that is 69 degrees, and it is at 8% moisture content. That is not relative humidity. That is actual moisture content. So that's about where you want to be, is about 8%, because I do have a mini split. It is climate controlled in here, so it shouldn't be too humid this time of year, especially. But this FLIR one works really well. The cheaper ones typically are okay for an estimate, but the problem with them is they don't take temperature into consideration, and temperature directly affects the moisture content. So if it's not considering the temperature, then it's probably a really good tool to use to estimate, but it's not going to be as exact unless it's taking that temperature into consideration. So what you got over there, Steve? But that's I said this one's like 150 bucks, so not everybody's going to want to buy one of these.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but basically what you said about the warping, it tends to be because the material is coming from a different climate of humidity changes. And so that happens a lot if you have like a non-finished workspace. Like here in Minnesota right now, the outside air, the humidity is probably in the 20s to 30% humidity, whereas in summer it's going to be somewhere in the 60 to 70 on up. That's a pretty decent humidity change that will swing. And so if the area that you're storing it isn't climate controlled to some degree, those swings are going to hurt. For sheet goods,
what is up there right now?
well, one thing is saying 27 to 30. I'd have to look, but it gets pretty low and then it gets pretty high. We have both temperature swings and humidity swings here. But for sheet goods like plywood and such, best if you can lay them flat and put some weight on them. If you do find that you have some warped material, you can actually get it a little wet and then apply some. Make sure they lay flat and let it dry. It may take the warp out of it a bit. Yeah, when you're talking about hardwoods and such, moisture meters become kind of critical, and those pin type are great unless you're dealing with like 2-inch slabs, and because it's only reading the moisture content as deep as those pins go. So you're going to get an eighth.
Or if you want a true one, you have to get the drilling.
You gotta get like the RF type ones and such.
Well, the truly accurate ones, it's got a pin. It's about 6 inches long, and you it's made to where you put it in the impact and you run it up in there like a screw, and then you connect. But there
are less aggressive ways to get pretty close. But you're going to be spending about $500 on the moisture meter.
Yeah,
but most people working with the lasers, you're probably talking about craft materials, craft plywood, things like that, they should be fairly stable-ish. They should be dried by the time you get to them. But like I say, if it's coming from a place that's 50% humidity and then it's going to 20, or if it's coming from here right now where it might be in the 20s, 30s and going to a real humid place, yeah, you're just gonna be prone to warping.
Yeah, if you weight it and evenly weight it, don't just weight it in the center. Weight it like maybe if you've got some 2x4s or something, maybe that's even straighter than a 2x4. Just lay some weight on there. When I'm drying wood off of my kiln, off my sawmill, I actually have 3 like really heavy duty ratchet straps inside there, and I will ratchet strap, like I'll stack and sticker it and ratchet strap it down to hold pressure on it until it dries, because it can cause it to warp. One big thing that I will tell you, if you're putting stacking your plywood on the concrete slab, don't do that. Like put you a vapor or like a moisture barrier on the slab, and then maybe stack a couple of boards or something and get it up off of it, because concrete, especially older concrete, if it doesn't have a vapor border or moisture border barrier, underneath it, concrete actually will allow moisture to just wick right through it. And so if you set wood on the floor, and I had to learn this the hard way, you set wood on the floor, it acts like a sponge, and it'll just pull moisture through that slab if it doesn't have, if it ever gets any water on the bottom side of the concrete. So especially if you're in like a basement shop or something like that, where you have a sump pump running and there's water underneath your slab, then, that's something you need to, you need to be cautious of. But
yeah, AGT, that when the snowstorms come through, that messes with it. But even down here, that system barely gave us dusting, and it was because of all the dry air we have. It is higher than that, but it does swing.
It's like 88% humidity outside right now.
Yeah.
According to that, it says it's 55% humidity inside here, is what that one right there by my flashing sign says.
Mine's at 29% right now.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm heating it up with this heater. Nancy's asking any thoughts on true flat material. It's $4.20 a sheet if I buy it by the case. So that's the stuff I used in this frame. It's kind of a composite material, so you have a real thin veneer layer of this kind of finished synthetic cover of whatever color. They have like the few wood flavors. They also have a white, a black, and like a linen. And then the core is, I don't even know if I'd call it MDF. It might be LDF. It's a very lightweight density fiberboard, and it cuts very smooth, very clean. So being that it's so much composite, it's really not going to warp. It shouldn't warp unless you like apply heat and bend it or something.
You submerge it for a day or two, it may.
Yeah. You're gonna have to do something to get it to warp too much. So, I've only used it on this project, so I can't really speak a whole lot to it. But I know Clack's used it on a number of things. I'm pretty impressed with it just from this first project, between how easy it cut, how well it engraved, how clean it was, how easy it was to clean up. But yeah, you do pay $4.20 a sheet for it. But that's one thing to consider, is you're going to have a consistent product. Anything, even the cabinet grade Politic birch that I buy, every so often I'm going to have, a patch or a glue pocket or things like that.
Something.
Yeah. You get into the higher qualities, there'll be less and less of that, but there's still going to be some slight irregularities. And when you get into those cheaper plywoods, you're going to have more and more of them. So do you want cheaper material that you might have higher failure rate on, or, high quality material that you can pretty much run and go? Now, if you're just playing around, hobbyist crafting, then you're probably going to want to go with the cheaper material, and you're okay with maybe, redoing something that didn't cut quite right. But if you're trying to lay everything out, you need to cut out 80 of these and you need them all drop clean in one shot, then you're probably going to find some material that you may pay a little bit more, but is going to make up for it and save time and such.
Yeah, the True Flat, if you're making like boxes and stuff like that, I don't know that that's a material that you would want to necessarily use for that. But like layered projects, especially like Christmas ornaments or like little desktop, like sitting decorative type things, it does a really good job. Like Steve said, it cuts clean, it cuts smooth. Once you find a setting that, like, let's say you decide you want to run it 8 millimeters a second to cut it or whatever, it's going to be consistent. You're not going to have pockets where it doesn't cut all the way through, or you're not going to have pockets where it's blow. It's very consistent. But yeah, any kind of like MDF, LDF, any of the fiber boards or stuff like that, moisture variations aren't going to cause them that big of a problem. But now if you get them, soak them in water, then you have a problem. Then it will revert back to its original sawdust appearance. Like some of the old, what was it, 1970s furniture, where if you ever had a flood in your laundry room, it would just fall apart. You'd come in there and like a sawdust pile.
Well, that or most anything from IKEA.
Yeah.
Nancy's, would it hold up for an exterior sign?
No, I don't know that I would use it outside.
I wouldn't use it.
Really covered it up with some clear cut. Now, if it's like on a porch where it's not getting rained on and you clear coated it really good, you'd be okay. But like if it's on your mailbox, probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it out in the direct elements. Maybe on a door that's behind like a storm door, screen door kind of thing. But if it's exposed to a lot of direct moisture content, and in some case that could even just be, like dew in the morning and such, over time it's going to start bubbling and soak some of that up a little bit. But humidity versus like actual like condensation or direct moisture is probably what you're worried about. Yeah,
and the sun's not going to do it any favors either. Going from wet to really dry, from the sun and wet to really dry, it's most things have a hard time staying out in the sun for long times. Dennis is saying, I bought 2 sheets of 1/4-inch plexiglass. That's 4 foot by 8 for $50 6 years ago. Now it's worth $275 per sheet. Wow, plexiglass is gold. Yeah, most everything has gotten way more expensive now. I bought some the other day from, I ordered it from, was it Johnson Plastics? And it was about $1 a sheet cheaper than what I could find it on Amazon. I got the 12 by 20 sheets, which are kind of made for the desktop CO2 size. And I think I wound up saving like $1 a sheet for it. And it cuts really, really good. But I had a big job that was coming in, and I wanted a material that in the event that these things take off, I wanted to be able to, order 20, 30 more sheets of it or whatever. So I ordered it from there instead of, because a lot of times I'll order stuff through Amazon, but it's usually like a sheet or two here and there, just, for small projects. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go ahead and start testing out, some material for like larger, big orders and stuff like that.
Yeah. I back in that corner there, I have a plywood rack, and I still have some Baltic birch plywood that I'd ordered from the distributor. This would have been pre-COVID. And I think I paid about $45 a sheet, and now it's probably 3 times that, like $120, $130 a sheet now. So yeah, it's been a rough few years on pricing for materials. So. Well, there you go. Rick's got his CNC put together, and the big will be here in 10 to 12 weeks, reorganizing the wood shop, make room for the 2 CNCs. Well, we expect a full report on that then.
Yeah, I need to be turning out some projects.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that because I've been slacking on my CNC content as well. But Clack expects a full report on that.
Hey, I've been running mine. I ran my CNC today. I had it going. I had the lasers going. My poor X40. It put in some work today because I cut all the pieces of that big key over there.
Well, I've been digging out the designs. I've been trying to plan out a few projects and do some work on that. So, yeah, they're definitely a fun beast to add into the mix.
Yeah.
But
Oh, here's a question. No. Don't even try it. That's my answer on that one.
well, yeah. So plexiglass versus acrylic.
That's polycarbonate.
Yeah,
right?
it does not engrave or cut very nice. It's a little rough. You might be able to etch it with some binder.
Well, he's
but it's
asking
probably not gonna be-
a 10-watt diode too, by the way.
I know.
And plexiglass is clear.
Yeah. So I mean, if you mask it, you might get it to do something to it, but it's plexiglass isn't great at being engraved or cut anyway, even with like a CO2. Like I say, you can do it, but it's not always pretty. And with a 10-watt diode, you might be able to get some marking on it with a binder, but yeah, it might be a little hit or miss.
I said you could try if you're just going for just an engrave, maybe with some white spray paint or some Cermark or some of that was it that peel and stick black
Yep.
Was it looks like carbon paper, like old carbon paper or whatever. That stuff might work, but
right. Trisha's asking how often do you clean the fan on your lasers, and that's going to be one of those that really depends on what you've been using it, how often you've been using it, how long you've been running it. I know a lot of people like MDF. I did a lot of it originally with my CO2 because I was able to get these big 4x8 sheets at Menards super cheap, and I was able to break them down on the table saw, and it was very consistent material, but it's really sticky and it's really dusty. So when you cut that a lot, I find myself cleaning my laser a lot more often. Or if I'm doing anything that's like, the painted tiles or canvases, that stuff, when you vaporize it, it likes to re-adhere to something really quick, like your air assist cone, or if your fan is really sucking it in, it gets on there. Things like that. I may clean it after a couple jobs. Typical use on just hardwoods or fairly clean plywood, I'm probably going to go, a good 8 hours on it. And there's cleaning of where you stop the fan with a dowel or a skewer and just kind of blast some air through it. And then there's cleaning of actually opening it up and kind of scrubbing it down some. The more often you do the blast of air, the less often you're having to tear apart and do a deep cleaning on it.
Yeah, so. See, I've got my air hose over there with my little wand on it. And if I know I'm fixing to do something that's going to take a little while, or when I get through doing something that took a little while, I'll drop this little guy down in the module, hit it with some air, dust it out really good. And like with the X40, I'll pop the module loose, unscrew it, look down in there, make sure that the lens is nice and clean, screw it back on there, and put it back together, and I'm back in business. So but now a lot of things, and one thing that you really didn't cover that I see a lot is it depends on how well your exhaust system's set up too. Because I've seen guys with the same exact machine, and if I look over here and the inside of my machine looks like a house fire inside the enclosure, we've got an exhaust problem. You're going to get a little bit of lingering smoke in the corners and stuff like that, but if you have adequate airflow through your enclosure, it shouldn't be like a cloud is parked over the top of your engrave. You should see that air. It should be moving. So that's when I've seen, I see a lot of them to where, they've got a camera watching the machine as it's running. And I'm like, is something on fire in there, or we just like not ventilated properly or whatever? But you shouldn't, you don't want that module breathing all that dust and smoke if you can help it. You want to go ahead and evacuate that and get it out of that enclosure, blow it outside, send it into your AP2 filter, whatever, but you do not want the machine just sitting in there, just chug-a-lug and breathing that stuff, because that's going to stop it up much faster. So, what's up, Cody? Cody's in the house. Whoop, whoop.
See that?
There we go. Oh, wait a minute. The maker of the Genie bit. Hey, I showed off some Genie bits today. Sure did. I forgot to tag him in it though.
Can't believe
Yeah,
you
I
do
made
that.
these cool little things. Look at that. It's awesome. So I decided that I wanted to come up with a different way of jigging stuff out. I've been watching a lot of different videos and seeing how a lot of different guys did it. And I'm like, you know what? I saw the PVC pipe everybody was using, doing PVC, and they were doing all these different things. I'm like, I don't want that. So I come up. This is what I come up with. Basically, I modeled it after the dogs that they put in a lot of these woodworking tables, but I only made them like 10 millimeters tall outside the spoil board, because most of the time the materials, I think I've got my safe height set to like 10 millimeters. So as long as the material is not even with the bed, I should never slam into this. But if I do, it's okay because it's PLA. It'll just chew it up. I can throw it away and get another one. And it takes me about an hour and 5 minutes to print like 7 of these on the what do they call it? The strength setting, to where the infill's a little thicker with PLA. So there you go. But yeah, built me a little CNC file, used a Jenny bit to make the holes, and then I just went through plugging these little guys in. There you go.
Cool.
Brad says Eagles won 40-22. In case you were wondering, Steve.
Well, they still have a minute to play, but yeah, they're going to win. They just got to do their couple of kneels.
but check out the print since I got that dryer. I'm telling you that I did not realize I had moisture issues until I got the dryer. But I apparently had moisture issues, because this is like you can't even see where the layers where the layers are. You can't even see it. It's awesome.
Yeah, why isn't it orange?
Because the Shapoko's got a light on the front of it that is green, and their color on carbide is green. So like the little clamps that come with it were green. So I'm just sticking with the green, and also it matches. Look, it matches the Secret Keeper.
Like you haven't threatened to paint bomb anything that comes into your shop with orange anyway.
Do what? Well, the green, like when I turn the machine on, hang on, where's my other? Let me pull up my camera. See, like the other side over there, when I turn it on, there's a green light. Hang on.
I like how he thinks we're going to be able to see this.
See that?
Nope. That's like asking me if I could see a mosquito in your shop.
Yeah, you can see it. I can see it on that little tiny screen. I can still see it. But yeah, it's a green. It's a green light, and the software also is green. It's got a lot of green in it. So I'm just embracing the green, and it's sitting right next to my Rikon bandsaw. So I'm just embracing the green.
Rikon changed their color to blue, so that's just old.
Well, because it's an old. What did I tell you? Those are secondhand tools.
I'm just being difficult. All right, Super Bowl's officially over. Can we move on to baseball now?
Let's see. Chris said, just for fun, I put a 3D print under a microscope, showed I had a moisture problem I was not really aware of. Okay. I don't know if he's making fun of me or what. But I still can't reveal it, James. Sorry. I haven't. It's under there. It's pretty cool, but I can't tell you what it is. My bad.
Or just call you a big tease.
Nancy, I've got the Lone Star leatherette. I'm fixing to do some hats with it, but I haven't tried the patches, but I'm assuming they're just cutting their patches out of the material that I bought from them. So We'll see. Aldrich says the green clashes with the orange everywhere. Well, like I said, I embraced it with the CNC, because that light. Yes, I probably could modify it, but whatever. Maybe one day. Maybe I'll just go over it and there's orange accent everywhere. But the green's pretty cool too. Cornbread said he thought maybe there was no more orange to order. No, I got orange Lone Star adhesive. I'm gonna make some orange and black blackjack patches for hats. Oh, let's see. Aldrich Custom Craft says, question, what lights are you running under your gantry? They're brighter than mine. Those are the ones that come with the Spoko. Like they build those on there. Now I do have another set of lights on the table. Hang on, I'll turn them on. I have those lights around the edge of the table that I can turn on. So if I'm in here, if I just want to chill out and like hang out at night and have weird lighting, I have those. Those lights are. See if I got any more of them left. Here they are. Ones on the table are these, and the same ones I use in my enclosures. I get them. Typically, I order these on Amazon. They've got this little like knob right here where you can adjust the brightness. It's pretty cool. Or you can just plug them straight in if you want them full blast. But yeah, these are the ones that are around the table itself. They're really bright, and they're really sticky. So once you stick them somewhere, they're there. But the ones that are on the machine itself, those are the factory ones. But I turn the main lights off in here, and it's cool. Hang on. That's right. There you go, Steve. Eat your heart out, guy. Eat your heart out. Yeah, it's very bright over there right now. Looks like a UFO landing.
Careful, your workshop's starting to look like a studio.
No. That's like if I'm in here just jamming, working on my computer, I'll cut all these other lights off, and that's kind of what it looks like in here. So yeah, there you go. And I'll turn the actual machine lights off a lot of times. Yeah, there you go. So if you just like chilling, hanging out in the shack, that's where you can set the lights up for. But let me get it back to normal. Hang on.
If I feel like chilling and hanging out in the workshop, I just open the door right now.
Do what now?
Said if I feel like chilling, hanging out in the workshop, all I got to do is open the door.
I mean like chilling. But yeah, it's cool. Like I said, I like my little table over there. It's pretty neat. My legs ain't been shaved, guys. I don't know why everybody thinks I shave my legs. I don't shave my legs. I'm just not a very hairy individual. I don't have a whole lot of hair. Like, look, I'm 50 years old and I can't even grow a full beard. All right. Like, look at that. I can't help it. It's genetics. My dad, I think he had like 5 hairs on his chest when he last time I remember discussing it with him.
Well,
I'm not hairy. I'm not a Sasquatch like some people. I do have hair on my legs. It's just very fine and Not very long. Now they did shave my knee here a while back, but it doesn't grow back. That says your workshop starting to look like a studio. I just got good lighting, man.
Mhm.
Oh, Nancy, yes, I have the Omni. I see it sitting right there.
Excuse me.
I concur, Midnight. I concur, sir. I'm assuming they are. Let me go pull my. Let me make sure. Well, let's see. Orders. LED. I wonder how many things that I got LED in the keyword that I've ordered in the past few years. Those are the Capetronics, right? Yes, Capetronics. I thought they were. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell I like these lights. Purchased 4 times. Last purchase April 6th of 2024. So yeah, I will. I'll get a link for them just in case, and I'll also look and make sure. I'm going to add them to my shopping list of general shop equipment because they'll work for CNCs, lasers, or whatever. So yeah, I've added them to my list on my Amazon shop, as well as there's a link right there. So yeah, that's these guys right here. The box is different in this video, but this is the whatever Capetronics. The box is just a different color.
No, it's kind of nice that some sites will show you like, past orders and such.
Yeah.
But it's not always appreciated on certain sites. So when we're not feeling like cooking, sometimes we'll just order pizza for the boys.
Yeah.
And so I logged into their site to place the order, and it brings up like your favorite orders and tells you how many times you've ordered certain things. I did not need to know that's how many pepperoni pizzas I've ordered.
It lets you know that you do not need to be ordering pizza.
Yeah, I was like, maybe we need to rethink this. But
yeah. But then I also, like earlier when I was talking about every time you go somewhere, go by the sale aisle. I also have a bunch of these that I got on sale. I think these probably were at Hobby Lobby, maybe, I don't know, but I got them for like $3 and some change. So yeah. I try to keep lights in stock because somebody will be like, hey, I want a mirror or I want a sign or whatever. So it's best if I already have the lights to be able to throw stuff together. So but those lights are $15, the ones that you see over there on the CNC table, and they're 16.4 feet. Of course, you can cut them like with just regular scissors. If you don't need 16 feet, you only need 10. You can, run them, get them glued up like you want them, and you can cut them. But you can also keep that little piece because you can. And I think Steve showed some of this. You can actually clean that off and solder a wire and reconnect that piece like at the other end of a wire somewhere. So it's pretty neat what you can do with those.
yeah, they've got cut marks where you can cut them, and then they got the little copper tabs where you can resolder them on or use the little crimping connectors that they sell for them as well. So, but
yeah.
Anyhow. Well, we're rolling up on 2.5 hours here. We got to be careful that we're not setting a bad precedent here.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that because I got to go to work in the morning. Y'all just got me started on all this show and tell stuff. Somebody said I needed a disco ball. I'm actually looking into one of those little lasers that you can like program it to do different things. I want to give him one of those. It's not really a disco ball; it's a laser. Because I mean, the shack is about lasers, guys.
Seems like
So
something you'd find in a studio.
hey, I'm not. This is a workshop studio.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I mean, don't you think that would be cool though if I had like a laser that would like look right here, Steve. Look, I mean, look at this. Look, like I could do all kinds of cool stuff.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Look at that. I mean, look, that's a party light right there, man. Wait, look, it would be awesome.
You're gonna have to enter your
Look, it's
workshop,
only 30
with
bucks.
these on. Be like, all right, yep, I'll come over now.
It's only $30. I mean, how much fun could I have with that? Because
I'm sure it's perfectly safe for your eyes at $30.
I'm trying to plan the retirement party. I have a karaoke machine with like a mixer. It's got the Bluetooth control head and everything. I got the speakers with the little stands that you set the stand down, speaker stands on them. So I thought about bringing that in here and hooking it up, and I could just put the link out there. If somebody wanted to sing a song, they could just drop in the live and sing.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think about that? A live karaoke party.
Let me see if I can do this.
What are you doing?
Well, you're talking about laser light show.
You done got you a laser light show?
Well, I can do the poor boy one. I just need to.
Me.
Hold on a second.
I'll answer this question. Cornbread, my Cubico is supposed to be here tomorrow, according to the tracking notification that I checked earlier in the live. Yeah, there you go. Look at you. Look, you talking about me. You got one already. Got you like a laser kaleidoscope or whatever they called that thing.
This is actually a light defender laser.
Does it defend you from light?
No, it's supposed to be a non-lethal form of personal protection, because if you shine this at someone, they're going to have quite the headache. I don't know how legal it is. It's definitely one of those don't point at aircraft kind of things. But it's got this little thing on top here that you can change the pattern and whatnot on.
Huh. Well, isn't that cool?
Right.
But my Cubico or whatever should be here tomorrow. I'll be a little late getting in the shop tomorrow night, so I don't know if I'll get a chance to do anything with it. There may be a couple of shorts or something pop out of the machine, but yeah, I've got it coming. I'll let you know once I get it. David Allen, the guy with the great name, says Steve has all the cool stuff. Hashtag Steve has all the cool stuff.
This was a Christmas present.
Sure it was.
It was. Yeah, I can't tell that. Of course, it's really dark in here. But the wavelength of this is 522 nanometer, I think is what they say.
It's fixing to say it's got to be higher than 450 because it's green.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
And red's up there in 1,000 or so, somewhere close to 1,000. All right. Well, Midnight Sun said that'd be good for ghost hunting.
Yeah. Well, just let me know if something sneaks up behind me here.
Cornbread said he's waiting on one of us to have a disco ball hanging in our shop. I'm telling you, I'm going to get me one of those little. I may order that tonight. I'm going to get me one of those little lasers where it'll just like dazzle everything. Steve can make fun of me if he wants to.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. But that's it for tonight, I guess, guys. We are at 2 hours and 34 minutes. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit the like button on your way out there, guys. And as you can see, well, I moved it now, but 234 days until full-time Clack Shack. So if y'all got ideas or things, be thinking about what we're going to do, because there's going to be a whole lot of time to do cool, fun stuff. I am going to be working on building Clack Shack version 2. Hopefully, if all goes well, Lord's willing, I can save some money between now and then. I do want to build me a bigger shop with an actual like office that's not where everything gets covered in dust all the time.
Yeah.
So
Build my apartment.
yeah, and I'm gonna have to place a place where Steve can sleep when he comes to visit. Hopefully next year, not this year, but next year, like 2026. Hopefully by then I'll have it set up good enough to where Steve can come, hang out and have his own little I'm not gonna call it bed, but like couch that pulls out into a bed, maybe. Or maybe like one of those Murphy bed things, looks like a prison bed that just folds down, But
Wow.
hopefully we'll have something like that.
Work on your sales pitch.
Well, I don't know how to describe
Visit the
it,
Clack Shack. Sleep in a prison bed.
I mean, it would be the most comfortable prison bed you'd ever slept in.
Well, seeing that I haven't, yes, that would be true.
Oh, me. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Glad everybody decided to stop by and listen to us yap, even though there was a big ball game on. Congrats to whoever won it. Who did you say won?
The Eagles.
Oh, well, congrats
Doesn't
to those
matter.
guys. Yeah, congrats to those guys. I quit watching. I had never really been a big NFL fan, but my mind does not allow me to sit in one spot long enough to watch one of those games. And so I stay in my shop. Chris wants to know if they make 9-foot prison beds. No, hey, that's what sawhorses are for, Chris. You put 2 sawhorses and a sheet of plywood down there where the feet go, and fixed. Problem solved.
All right, so I'm gonna have to bring my own bed.
Well, y'all be good, and see you next Sunday. Steve,
We'll see you, everyone. More stuff coming, and end of this month we'll be at Workbench Con, hanging out with the likes of Cody and others. So looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't get sick again. But until next week, keep an eye on the channels, keep an eye on the Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, all those fun things. We like to drop nuggets everywhere, middle of projects and such. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya. Y'all be safe. Have a good one.